Right, that was Desire with Under Your Spell. And now we have a Chris here. Hi, Chris.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Chris is here because you're going to review some films with us.
Yeah, I'm getting involved this time. I'm pulling my weight for once, basically, is the plan.
We're going to review Steve Jobs, the new Aaron Sorkin / Danny Boyle film.
I only afterwards remembered that there was a Steve Jobs film quickly pushed out, after
Ashton
he
Kutcher.
died. The Ashton Kutcher one, which was quickly also silenced as well after. So I had a bit of a confusion with it and stuff. I was like,
I think this one's probably... I mean, I haven't seen the Ashton Kutcher film, but
terrible.
Based on trailers, this is exceptionally better.
exceptionally better. League of its own, really.
Because this one, it's not really... I mean, it's kind of a biopic because it's about Steve Jobs' life, but it does it in a very different way, doesn't it?
I think it's vying for the biopic market as such.
But it's written by Aaron Sorkin, the guy that wrote The Social Network and The West Wing and The Newsroom, and basically one of the most prolific and arguably best writers in Hollywood at the moment. And it basically covers Steve Jobs' life, but over 3 separate occasions.
Yes, three kind of landmark product launches during his life. I'm very much not a kind of Apple fanboy. I own Apple software, but I'm not in the cult of Jobs. And I feel like this one's offering an alternative perspective to the one that we know in the known media.
He's not a particularly nice guy in this film, is he? I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but he's like a proper... I mean, he's not full Zuckerberg, but he's kind of... He's on the edge. I mean, he's more of a robot here than he was in Prometheus, and in Prometheus he actually played a robot.
One thing I thought was interesting was his accent, the Californian accent he was doing for Steve
it's
Jobs.
good, though.
It is good. It varies, though, in kind of intensity.
Yeah.
Sometimes it kind of drops a little bit. That was my only kind of flaw in Fassbender, which, by and large, I love Fassbender, and he's great in this. And I think once you get to the end of the film, when he's got that kind of full-on taking on his Steve Jobsness with his glasses and his roll neck and stuff, he does feel the presence, fills the void. He's got the mannerisms down because, at face value, you look at him, and he doesn't quite... He's a bit of a interesting... I wouldn't say he's an odd casting choice, but he's an interesting one. But he definitely, I think, fulfills the part.
And most of the other cast fill their parts really well as well. Like Kate Winslet's really great. I think she's probably in it the most, isn't she, of the supporting cast? And then even Seth Rogen's pretty great in this.
Kind of doing a bit of a Birdman. Like it's lots of dialogue-driven, dramatic moments between various relationships,
very fast-paced,
centering around one kind of not egotistical but ambitious man.
Yeah.
And it's lots of various things going on in the wings as such, off stage behind these product launches. As such, and Seth Rogen almost kind of does the Galifianakis kind of thing of being being that kind of role where he's like, I can do serious parts too, but he does
he pulls it off
exactly.
And I think, I mean, if I have any problems with this film, for the most part, I loved it.
Yeah,
for the most part, I was fully immersed, etc. But I think as it went on, it did get a bit formulaic because it covers this same kind of 3-act, like this is one launch, this is another launch, this is another launch, and each of them are basically identical in their content. It's basically Steve talks to this guy, Steve talks to this woman, Steve talks to this guy. It's almost in the same order in each of the 3 acts.
And you chart his kind of relationship with pivotal people throughout his life as such, which I think for some people that are interested in said cult of Jobs, this is very, very interesting. I think to them they get to see these power dynamics play out between these major people. Scully, the Pepsi CEO, and then also Wozniak, who's I think where it leaves off. You've almost got time for a sequel with this one because you've got the Wozniak. There's a bit of contention between, obviously, with that iMac 2 thing in real life. So I think, whilst I agree it's quite formulaic, luckily the subject matter is intriguing enough to us that you do feel invested and you do get really involved.
It definitely shines a completely different light on Steve Jobs to what I expected. The only other problem I think I'd say I had is that it feels a little too kind of crazy in tone sometimes. Like Aaron Sorkin's tones are it's very fast paced, very cold, very kind of like he speaks almost entirely in metaphors and like all these kind of crazy, really cool like sound bites of dialogue which people quote at each other and write on their Facebook statuses, etc. But it kind of doesn't hold together as well. And Danny Boyle's kind of quite sentimental. And here they both kind of clash together quite a lot. And then at the end, it gets almost kind of sickeningly sweet. Like the very, very end, I was kind of like, this doesn't feel right. It feels like it's gone too far. Having said that, I did find myself completely enthralled by it, particularly at the beginning. I think it is one of those films that starts off very, very strong. And it gradually loses steam as it goes on. But the beginning is like, I think the opening sequence of this film is probably one of my favourites of the whole year.
I'd say enthralling is a very, very good word for it.
Should we wrap things up with ratings?
Scores?
Yeah, I'm going to go with I'm cross between an 8 and a 9, but I think I'm going to go with an 8 just because of how sickeningly sentimental it gets at the end. But the beginning, like if the whole thing was like the opening sequence, it'd be a flat out 10.
I'm still a bit divided on where I'd sit this one. I'm still not sure about what my kind of personal rating. I would give this an 8 out of 10, though. It's a very enjoyable film, very engrossing, very sophisticated, very technically good. But there are just some things that don't sit with me personally that I just I'm not going to be ranting and raving about this film, but it is a great film. It's a great piece of filmmaking and great performances as well. So and great writing.
Did you happen to catch James's opinion?
James's opinion. I think he was quite similar to me. Like, you know, he enjoyed it, appreciated lots of points to it, but I don't know. It's I can't. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, just didn't have it. Whatever it is, the indescribable thing. Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on to some Steve Jobs related music?
Yeah. So speaking of James Chadwick, incidentally, he can't actually be with us tonight because he's at a Maccabees gig. And incidentally, the Maccabees actually feature in the soundtrack of Steve Jobs. So we've got you one of the tracks. What a coincidence. It's as if we planned this. So we've got Grew Up at Midnight by the Maccabees.
Here we go.